reported this morning that Deshaun Watson settled 20 of his civil lawsuits. 20. I think does that mean there's 4 now unsettled? Does this news change at all the way you view the possibility of what his suspension would be this year?
No. I think he's a lock to get a season. I think his great regret at this point in time now is if you were ultimately going to settle, because part of the reason dragging this out so long, right, was I am going to
tell the truth,
clear my name. And it got way worse as he went through it. And I don't think this helps at all. The other thing, I saw Florio post. You and I have talked about this. Like, to me, it feels like the NDA has lost its juice. Like, a lot of people still talk after they sign these things. And just like with this many people, the chances that some details come out feels borderline very likely. Not that that necessarily changed anything from his case.
A lot of details have already come out. At this point, what is an NDA doing for anybody? I guess preventing a book or an interview or something?
I would say if it finds out how much money's being paid, it'd be pretty eye-opening depending on the amount.
That's true. That's, I guess, probably the obvious one. Good point.
But I mean, how much when you're paying 20 people? I was thinking, like, what if you gave them $1 million each? Like $20 million total? That's a lot of money.
Well, I mean, he's got to protect his.
But if you gave $500,000 each, that's $10 million. So it's like, did he give them each 75?
They all saw you sign that contract for $250. Is that what the number was? Plus, you've made a lot of money.
I think 30. Yeah, he's already made cash. I'd be interested to see what the number is.
Yeah,
are they all the same?
Well, that's the one challenge then. If you're, yeah, it's a lot of people.
Busby or Bosby or whoever he represented them all, right? So it's not like. Is he giving some more, some less?
But he gets a percent of 20 mil, or does he not? Does the lawyer not get a percent of a settlement? Maybe not.
The lawyer, I've heard. I had someone tell me they get sometimes 30%
of a settlement.
So if you get $1 million, they get $300,000 net.
Wow.
I think the reason like people rip on lawyers for being kind of scummy, they make a ton of money on these big things. A ton.
Well, I remember the story. Have I mentioned this to you? Maybe you know it or people know it. The story of the brothers that owned the last ABA team to sell to the NBA. Have we talked about this?
I don't think so.
So these two brothers from New York, their dad had like some. Their dad was an immigrant, and he had some like textile company. They made some good textile money in New York, and the brothers bought an ABA team and moved it to St. Louis, the Spirits. And they did it like 2 years before the NBA bought out the ABA. And, so like whatever, 4 teams, 7 teams, whatever the number was, got absolved or got brought into the NBA, not absolved, absorbed. And then the other like 5 ABA teams or whatever was left over, the NBA basically bought them each out for, $1 million, I think.
Like the Minnesota Lakers, the Kansas City Kings, like all these teams.
Yeah, Minneapolis Lakers, I guess, became an NBA team, but there were a couple teams that just disappeared, and the NBA paid them to go away. There was like 5 teams that disappeared.
Yeah. One of them was St. Louis Spirits.
So I think it was like, let's say 5 of them. The other 4, 7 of them, the other 6, each just took their $1 million. Well, these two brothers were like, no, we're not taking your flat fee. We want a percentage of your television revenue. So the NBA was paying these guys like 7. It was a percentage of a percentage until I want to say like 5 years ago. So they made
5 years ago.
Yeah, whenever the last NBA deal was, maybe 8 years ago. But
I think it was 4. I think Silver signed one at 14.
Okay, so until 14, these guys were getting a percent of a percent. So they
rode Bird and Magic and Michael Jordan.
They got like $800 million in the end. And finally, when they did the deal in 2014, the NBA was like, we cannot continue paying these guys in perpetuity. Let's just flat fee buy them out. And gave them in 2014, they gave the guys like $50 million or something. They hadn't owned a team since 1976. Well, their lawyer had negotiated. The lawyer had negotiated 10% for himself. So the lawyer made like 80 mil.
Why would the lawyer ever work?
Maybe it doesn't work. I don't know.
That is genius.
I have to look at the exact percentages, but I think they got it was like 1/7 of 1/32 or however exactly it worked. But it is genius. It was genius. Yeah.
That's one of truly great business deals of all time.
Of all time. And again, imagine them walking into a boardroom in 2014. Like, good to be here.
How's LeBron doing, guys?
And you have a deal in perpetuity. So they have to pay you so much money to end your deal with them.
Wow. You're so rich by then. They're
like,
probably pretty
I'll
old.
take your $50 million.
Kind of crazy they stayed alive that whole time, right? Because how old were they? Probably.
I don't think they were. I think they were in their early. I think they were like in their 30s, early 30s, probably when they had that ABA team.
Point of purchase price were probably a little cheaper back in the day when you see some of these numbers. Like George Steinbrenner bought the Yankees for $10 million, which I think is literally the amount of money he paid for the Yankees, right?
Well, how much did Joe Lacob pay for the Warriors? $438.
Yeah, not much.
It's but it's gone from like 430 to like, what are they worth now? $3 billion.
I mean, I think Jerry Jones's number was not that high.
Jerry's number was not that high. You're right.
I want to say like 50 million. Jerry Jones, the headline was Jerry Jones thinks he could get 10 billion for the Cowboys.
Kraft's number was not that high either.
He actually, in 1989, he spent $150 million. But it was far from a guarantee. I mean, that feels like a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, Kraft spent 172 in 94.
Jerry got the stadium too, though.
Kraft had to build his own.
Yeah. Both don't regret either purchase.
Yeah, right? That's right. I'm with you. I mean, I don't see any reason why Deshaun Watson isn't getting suspended for the year and why Jimmy Garoppolo isn't going to be their quarterback.
I'm with you. Well, I mean, actually, when do we get? It's the 21st. Are we 2 weeks away from a viral video of Jimmy throwing a couple dimes?
Well, yeah. I mean, at some point, if you're the 49ers and you think the Browns is where you can go, I mean, if you're Jimmy and Don Yee, you need to start pressuring the 49ers to do something. Like cut me, trade me, whatever. We got to do this now, right?
Well, the first move is a Tom Brady level social media cut up video of him throwing, right? It's just a sweet, like, God, Jimmy, with some music in the background. I think that
Pusha T,
that feels inevitable. It just Schefter rap sheet tweeted out video of Jimmy Garoppolo from yesterday, and it's just him throwing like 7 different routes.
Yeah, at Dana Hills High School.
Yeah, shirt off, sweating, high-fiving. Great teammate,
Travis Matthew hat.
If Debo was there, would that be weird?
Yes. How about Devontae
Adams?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that wouldn't be as weird. Maybe he was just there and needed someone to throw. They had mutual friends or something.